So, who makes up the cathedral choir? First, let's talk in detail about the men. For the 6 daily men, it is a slightly unusual life, because we all have to be at the Minster in term time to sing as follows. Thursday, rehearsal 5 o'clock, followed by evensong, followed by a rehearsal, usually until 7 o'clock, but sometimes later. Friday, 5 o'clock rehearsal, followed by evensong. Saturday, same again. Sunday, or at least most Sundays, 10:25 rehearsal and 11:15 service, 2:45 rehearsal and 3:30 service. As you see, it's quite a big commitment. It adds up to about 180 services a year, and we can only visit friends or family at weekends when it's the holidays, and even then not over Easter weekend or Christmas. Set against that is the fact that we get paid for doing something which we love doing. Obviously, it is tricky to maintain a normal full-time job against being a lay clerk. You might be interested in knowing what each of us does for a living. Eric Sharman, alto, works for the Minster office 4 days a week, at least he does when we're not in lockdown, and is also a linguist who does some freelance translating. Ed Joyner, alto, works 3 days a week at the University of York. This may seem geographically peculiar until you know that that's where his fiancée lives. Tristan Moore, tenor, is an organ builder, repairer and tuner. Mike Gregory, tenor, is a singing teacher. And Jeremy Pemberton is a civil celebrant, basically taking funerals and weddings for people who want a ceremony outside of church. Jeremy used to be a priest until the Church of England decided that being a priest married to your gay partner is somehow worse than hundreds of gay priests who just cohabit. I mix singing with conducting, playing piano, composing and teaching, and being the Eric Tiemann archivist. And as some of you know, I also have a strange sideline in writing and checking questions for TV quizzes. One of the things about the lay clerks is that we have to arrive knowing all the notes for every piece each week. That's usually about 20 separate pieces, with only 25-minute rehearsal before most services to get it together with the top line. We do this in 3 ways. We are all good sight readers. You don't get a job as a lay clerk unless you can pretty well read music as fluently as you can read words, up to a certain point. I'm not talking about Schoenberg and Stravinsky, but normal music we would expect to do that. We know lots of music from previous years, of course. And finally, if it's a new and tricky piece, we're expected to take the music home beforehand and learn it. Turning up to a rehearsal and making a mistake is not really on, at least not often. Sight reading is the special skill demanded of lay clerks, much more so than solo singers or members of choruses for operas or musicals. Of all singers, only the professional London choirs, such as the BBC Singers, the Monteverdi Choir or the 16, are expected to read to the level of lay clerks. In addition, 6-man choirs such as ours have an extra demand on our reading. In a 12-man choir, you'll be standing next to somebody singing the same notes, which will help your reading no end. In a 6-man choir, you have to be self-sufficient. The acoustic of our choir is such that it's hard to hear our opposite numbers while we are singing. Although I'm often singing the same notes as my colleague Jeremy, I cannot hear him unless I stop singing, and so have 100% of the responsibility for getting the notes right. Mostly, this is very satisfying, and occasionally, though, it is rather scary, especially as, if I do make a mistake, it's done in front of 5 other professional singers and 2 professional organists. Working closely in a group of 6 colleagues makes for a very close-knit community, which of course also includes the rector chori, assistant organist and organ scholar, as well as assorted spouses and partners. Weekly curries, Sunday lunches, frequent quiz nights, and regular one-off parties and other social events are an important part of the life of this second family. Even during this current time, we meet over the internet for a Monday night quiz, and we do our virtual pub on a Thursday night. Let's hear the lay clerks now in a recording made in the Minster, but in this case not of church music, but of an arrangement of the folk song O Waly Waly. Bingham Choral sang an adaptation of this arrangement in 4 parts with piano last summer. This is 6 parts unaccompanied, so 1-to-1 one-to-one part, pretty much like the King's Singers. Switch the video off, go to the second sound link, and after that, get back to me on video 3.